Hello again, whiskey friends. Thanks for joining today, everybody. And hey, if this is your first time here, check out the vibe, check out how we do things. Maybe you'll learn something, and maybe you'll want to come back. Hey, who knows? Come be a whiskey friend. But for today's episode, we have probably my most anticipated release of 2023. I mean, I love these. I love these things. This is the Kelvin Collaboration 5. So I have gotten my hands on every single one of the Kelvin collaborations so far. I'll get more into that story in just a moment. But man, I was really excited to get into this one. So this one is finished in Australian Maripos, if I'm saying that right, sherry, and Anejo dark rum casks. Sherry and rum. I'm excited to try this again. Why don't you stick around? Find out why. Thanks for joining, everybody. Let's kick off the show. All right, pour a little bit here. All right, nice pour. Hey, cheers to Trev at the Bourbon Wrench. Cheers, buddy. All right. So close that up. Ooh, I spilled a little bit on my hands. That's good. So yes, as mentioned off the top, this is sherry and rum cast finish. Sometimes these four gates say sherry dash rum cast finish, which makes me think they're the same barrel that just happen to have both spirits in it. Now, I don't know the source of the whiskey, nor do I know the age of the whiskey. So a few of those details are hidden, but this one is a Kentucky straight bourbon, unlike the Calvin Collaboration 4, which was a Boo Rye, a blend of bourbon and rye. This is batch 28 of Fourgate. Man, can you believe Fourgate has done 28 plus batches here? Whew. And it is 117 proof. So it's got some good heft to it. And as I mentioned off the top here, man, I have a fondness for this series. The Kelvin Collaboration 1 is one of my favorite pours of all time. I do think some of the other Kelvin collaborations eclipsed what Kelvin Collaboration 1 did in the end. However, it had a very important step in my whiskey journey because getting my hands on something like Fourgate, which does cost $200. So I ended up getting a 10% discount on this one, but let's not count that. It does cost $200. But being able to go in to a liquor store and find one of these, I mean, it's getting harder to find some of these, especially the Kelvin 5. I had to get this one from an online retailer. But it makes me not have FOMO about some of the other releases like BTAC. Like, if I can get my hands on a Fourgate and I don't have to do an extreme hunting for it, hey, I don't have FOMO about something like BTAC. Like, this is great. I'm fine with this. This is my special pour. For the review purposes, I have had way more of this than I typically do. Typically, I nurse these bottles, but now that I do these reviews, I want to get myself familiar with it before I start talking to everybody about it. So I do tend now to have a fourth of the bottle gone, right off the bat, just to get these reviews out, which is both exciting because, hey, I guess I win in that exchange because I get to sip great whiskey like this. But man, I'm usually a little more frugal with how much I pour and what I pour of this. But hey, it's for science, right? So let's get into this one. We're going to break down the nose, break down the palate, and then we'll get into the final scores. Thank you for joining me so far, everybody. Cheers. I'm trying to give the nose a really fair shake on this one. Up front, the nose has been the part of this that has held it back a few points once you see the final score. I am it's just an okay nose. We're gonna break down the flavors of it, but it's not a nose that I sit down and I explore for a long time. Like, I'd much rather sip on this one than explore the nose on it, which is fine, but it just holds it back on some points in the back end. But I just wanted to give it a fair shake there, see if I continue to walk away during this tasting. Uh, so breaking down the notes. First, I come across it's a fried dough note. And a lot of times when I say fried dough, I would distinctly call it elephant ears, which I know is a regional term. So fried carnival dough. Um, Maybe it be like a glazed donut, a fried donut. It's not that with this one. Um, the best thing I've been able to describe it as so far is like a fried wonton. So more of that pastry shell kind of a dough that's fried. And that also is covered in powdered sugar. My favorite note on the nose is a bit of a custard. I do love it when I find custard. Uh, as you explore it more, there is some black pepper there, so it brings the spices, a slight hint of an almond paste. And if I lean into the fruits, at least on the nose, I lean into raspberries. It just has that little tartness to it, like a raspberry. All right, let's get into the taste. Mm. Oh, man. Oh, gosh, the finish. I'm going to do that every time I take a sip. Sorry in advance. Sorry, not sorry. But man. Mm. So, first impression. I mean, perfect mouthfeel. I mean, rich, creamy, oily. Gosh, it's just one of those ones. Let's see if the camera can convey it. I mean, it is so oily. Look at that. And you get that immediately upon hitting the tongue, and then you can just let it run back the sides of the mouth, hits the back of the throat. Oh man, it's just so creamy and visceral and ah. So love the mouthfeel on it. Very sweet initially, um, almost pixie stick sweet. It's probably more appropriate to call it, I think, a strawberry quick powder. If you remember, like getting a little spoonful of that as a kid, strawberry. The strawberry does come back for me later on, and then there is a little bit of this like salted caramel pretzel thing going on up front as well. Ah, let's go in for another sip. Go mid palate. Mm. Mm. Man, the thing that I keep reacting to, there is this point between mid palate and the finish where all the flavors ramp up and it just hits my, oh geez, I need to word this appropriately here. It hits my sweet spot. It's kind of like the Pillsbury Doughboy when you hit his belly, like it just hits me like that. I just got to do a little chuckle there, do a little happy dance. You always know it's a really good pour. Gosh, that finish keeps going on. Mid palate, um, I get this note a lot when it does come to rum flavored bourbon. So I do wonder if it's in there, but it's this cinnamon roll sensation. Now, what makes this one unique is rather than it being covered in a sweet, uh, sweet cream icing or royal icing, I actually get a very interesting strawberry cream cheese note. And I don't know if that is a note that I have ever articulated in a bourbon before. So that's why I find it interesting. Strawberry sweet cream. There is a slight nuttiness, which maybe starts hinting at the source of this whiskey. Um, I get a dry rosé wine sensation, and and then just some vanilla comes through, but that's more with the cinnamon roll part of it. I don't think that's worth calling out maybe distinctly there. But man, a lot of good, interesting notes to grasp on mid palate. So let's get into the finish. Oh man. So it has that great finish on there. It does transition, all those flavors kind of remain. They amp up a little bit. Then a almond paste emerges. Um, that strawberry cream cheese continues. I do think that's my favorite note of this particular bourbon when I keep going back to that strawberry cream cheese. Um, Gosh, when I say the strawberry cream cheese too, if you've ever gone to like a Super Bowl party and you have the person that makes like that cream cheese dip and gives you like the little graham crackers and you just can't stop eating those things, like it's almost like that too. Oh man, that could be so good. The cinnamon roll sensations there on the finish as well. I might change it up a little bit though, almost like a cinnamon French toast rather than a cinnamon roll. Like there's a bit more heft and weight to it, and it's got a little bit of a savoriness to it as well. That dry rosé sensations there on the finish as well. And let's see, is there anything else I want to note? Maybe a slight apple on the tail end becomes more distinctive. Now we're talking about 30 seconds into the finish here. It's like what it lingers now, as I'm talking right now, that's when I start getting the apple. So it's on the very tail end. Man, that is so good. Let's pull up the scores here. So here on the channel, we do have a scoring system broken up into 3 different tiers. Now, there's a whole bunch of other metrics that go behind the scenes here, but ultimately, flavor is 40%, experience is 50%, value is 10%. We're going to touch on that value score. Now, flavor, that's just going to be how enjoyable it is, each part of the experience. I do think what is interesting about this particular bourbon is that the nose is my least favorite. And I gave that a 7, just kind of giving full transparency behind the scenes. Front of the palate, I gave an 8. Mid palate, I gave a 9. Finish, I gave a 10. So this thing escalates every step of the way. And you just want to get to the finish. Then for the experience score, I mean, gosh, you heard me gush about the mouthfeel. I could go on days and days about all the flavor. So obviously the depth and complexity is there. Just a beautiful whiskey and a beautiful experience to behold. Now, value, actually got a little bit of a debate with Darrell on this one because I gave this one a 9 out of 10 on value. And Darrell was like, man, how can you give a $200 whiskey a 9 in value? Like, that's just too expensive. And I'm like, you know what? Value to me is, do I feel good about the price paid? And I don't feel at all regretful about the price paid for this one. I actually bought 2 of them, full disclosure. So do I plan to buy another? The answer is already yes, because I'm going to hold on to this one. It's a special pour. I mean, this is going to be in my top 5 of the year, top 10 at worst, but maybe top 5 of the year. Like, it just, sometimes you got to pay up for a special experience like this. It is what it is in that regard. I wouldn't pay any more than what I paid, but I'm not afraid to pay that for a special pour that I will enjoy on a special occasion or with a special friend during a special event. So that's thus the 9 out of 10. But hey, I get the controversy on that one. In the end, it comes out to a 88 out of 100, which is just a great score. That is actually the second time I've given an 88 this year. Hardin's Creek from Jim Beam, the Jacob's Well, that was the only other 88 I've given. Since then, I have scored something higher, but we'll get into that into a future review. So would I recommend this one? Yes. Check out Fourgate. Give Fourgate a chance. These things are beautiful, beautiful whiskeys, and their Kelvin collaboration series is like the flagship of this brand. It is just amazing. And we are 5 releases in, and I keep singing its praises. Continue to have just a special relationship with it. Now, the last thing that I really, really enjoy about this one is they did put it in the tall bottles. So Fourgate has since shifted most of their releases to a stubbier bottle. But I am so glad I get to put all the Kelvins here side by side, and they're all kind of the same shape and everything. So I am glad they went back to this one. I appreciate those details. I pay attention to those. So thank you for joining, everybody, for this very special pour of Foregate. Hopefully this illuminates you. If you see this at a bar, if you see it at a store and you are willing to and can pay the $200, man, this is a special one to have on your shelf, enjoy on special occasions. It might be one of your best favorite pours of 2023. Well, thank you for joining me today, everybody. I'll catch you on the next whiskey review. Goodbye, whiskey friends.
Jeff, just be friends with me. But you have these whiskey friends, and you say hello again. Oh, Jeffrey, you should just be friends with me. But you have these whiskey friends, and you say hello